Hello everyone, welcome to Forbidden Files Asia. I'm Eric. Today I want to share with you one of the strangest and most disgusting unsolved cases in Japan's history, the toilet tank death case. Over 30 years ago, a man was found dead in a place no one could ever imagine. His unusual death, the complicated relationships in his life, and the bizarre scene where his body was discovered left behind countless mysteries. So tonight, let's travel back to 1989 and uncover the strange story of this case that shocked all of Japan. The incident happened in a quiet rural village called Tsuro in Tamura district of Fukushima Prefecture. On February 28, 1989, heavy snow was falling. Around 6 p.m., a 23-year-old female teacher named Yumi Tanaka returned to her staff dormitory at Furumichi Elementary School. When she went to use the bathroom, she suddenly noticed something unusual. Deep inside the squat toilet, there seemed to be a shoe stuck. Tanaka felt uneasy, afraid that someone might be hiding inside to peep. In panic, she quickly ran out of the bathroom. Outside, she saw that the lid of the waste storage pit had been opened. She walked closer and looked down. What she saw nearly made her collapse. Inside the pipe, there was a pair of human feet. She screamed for help. A male colleague who lived nearby rushed over, but in the darkness and snow, they could not see clearly what was inside. The only thing they were sure of. Someone was stuck down there. The colleague immediately called the police. Officers from the Haru police station soon arrived, together with 3 local firefighters, and tried to pull the person out. But the body was stuck so tightly that all their attempts failed. It was not until the next day that the police brought in heavy machinery, an excavator and a crane. They dug out the entire section of pipe, lifted it up, and broke it apart with tools. Finally, after great effort, they managed to remove the body. But sadly, the person trapped inside was already dead. After the police cleaned the body with water at the scene, the situation became even stranger. The man was naked from the waist up, holding a neatly folded jacket in his arms. His whole body was curled tightly into a ball, stuck perfectly inside the pipe with almost no space to move. The coroner checked the body and found only minor scrapes on his elbows and knees, but no other injuries. The official cause of death was listed as respiratory failure due to the extreme cold. In other words, he froze to death inside the filthy, narrow waste pipe. The police quickly closed the case, calling it an accidental death during a failed peeping attempt. But this explanation seemed far too simple. The body was discovered inside the female staff dormitory toilet, a place where no stranger should ever be. Villagers were not convinced. More than 4,000 residents signed a petition demanding further investigation. Yet the police rejected the request, and the case remained unsolved. The victim was identified as Naoyuki Kano, a 26-year-old local man. He lived in the village with his parents and grandmother. People who knew him described him as cheerful and outgoing. In high school, he played guitar in a band and was also a member of the local soccer team. After graduation, he worked at Fukushima's No. 2 nuclear power plant as a sales supervisor. Kano was well-liked in the community. He often served as the master of ceremonies at weddings, and as president of the Village Youth Association, he organized many events for young people. Recently, he had even helped promote the campaign of a candidate in the village mayoral election. Because of his positive image and active role in the village, many people simply could not believe that he would secretly crawl into a women's toilet for voyeurism. To them, the police explanation felt absurd and unbelievable. The first person who discovered the body was the teacher, Yumi Tanaka. In those days, becoming a teacher was not easy. Not only did you need to pass exams, but also to have a respectable character. On the surface, she seemed to be a person with good morals. But when police looked deeper, rumors about her began to surface. Villagers said she had once been a delinquent girl, and that she had complicated relationships with several men in the area. Some even claimed that she was already engaged to another man, yet still kept close contact with the victim, Kano. These whispers made her role in the case look less innocent than it first appeared. Apart from the relationships, the scene itself was filled with contradictions. The squat toilet opening was only 20 centimeters in diameter, and the waste pipe opening outside was just 36 centimeters. A normal adult male's shoulders measure around 40 centimeters wide. This meant that, whether from the front or from the back, it was nearly impossible for Kano to crawl into the narrow pipe. Even more unbelievable, his body was curled up inside like a shrimp. It looked less like reality and more like a bizarre stunt. Even if he somehow managed to squeeze himself in, why would he choose to do this on a freezing winter night, half naked, inside a pit filled with human waste? The peeping theory made less and less sense. And even if he knew Tanaka would return that day, how could he be sure of the exact time she would go to the toilet? The whole situation, from start to finish, felt illogical. Besides his strange posture, the scene revealed other suspicious details. When the body was found, Kano was wearing only one shoe. The other shoe turned up near a river some distance from the site. His car, which he had driven out on February 24th, was later discovered in a parking lot near the teacher's dormitory. Oddly, the doors were unlocked and the car keys were still inside. These details did not match the idea of a careful voyeur. Instead, they suggested that Kano might have left his car in a hurry, perhaps while escaping from something unexpected or threatening. In fact, Kano had already gone missing 4 days before his body was discovered. On the morning of February 24th, around 10 a.m., he spoke briefly to his father, who was watching TV in the living room. He said, "I'll go out for a bit. I'll be back soon." His father later recalled that Kano seemed to mention picking someone up, but he never said who. After that, Kano drove away and vanished. No one saw him again until 4 days later, when his lifeless body was pulled out of the school's toilet pipe. Some people believed Kano's death was connected to local politics. He had recently helped in the campaign for the village mayor, who eventually won the election. But the election was full of controversy, with rumors of bribery. It was said that a pro-nuclear group had offered tens of millions of yen in political donations. Kano, however, was known for his strong sense of justice. He hated corruption and wanted a fair election. His attitude may have offended powerful people, and some suspected that he became a target for revenge. Another theory focused on a personal relationship. Rumors suggested that Kano and teacher Yumi Tanaka were more than just friends. When Kano learned that Tanaka was being followed and harassed by a stalker, he volunteered to help. He even reported the stalker to the authorities. This showed how much he cared about her. Later, Kano apparently discovered the stalker's identity, but strangely, when asked about it, he refused to tell others and tried to handle it quietly. This led some to believe the stalker might have been an important figure in the community, someone with a good public image, maybe even someone Kano personally knew. If that was true, exposing the stalker would have caused a scandal. Instead, Kano may have tried to settle things privately. But once the stalker realized Kano had uncovered the truth, he may have decided to retaliate. Some think the stalker set a cruel trap, framing Kano as a perverted voyeur who liked crawling into toilets, and then murdered him. There was also another theory linking Kano's death to a nuclear power plant accident. Just 1 year earlier, in 1988, Fukushima's number 2 nuclear power plant had suffered an accident. Toxic metal fragments leaked from inside the reactor. Even though the plant issued 3 warning alarms and stopped operations, the damage was still serious. Kano was one of the eyewitnesses to the incident. Another supervisor who had also witnessed it later killed himself, unable to live with the guilt. That left Kano as the only surviving eyewitness. Some people suspected that supporters of nuclear power were afraid he might go public and expose the truth. To silence him, they may have decided to kill him first. Whether it was politics, romance, or the nuclear accident, the case left behind too many unanswered questions. Why would a healthy young man strip half-naked in the freezing winter and force himself into a waste pipe barely big enough for his body? Why was one of his shoes found far from the scene? Why was his car left unlocked with the keys inside? And what exactly was his relationship with Yumi Tanaka, the woman who first discovered the body? The police, however, chose the simplest answer. They closed the case as accidental death during a failed peeping attempt. With that decision, the truth was buried, and the mystery has remained unsolved ever since. Even today, people still wonder, was Kano really just a voyeur who froze to death? Or was he framed in a carefully planned murder? Was it just a bizarre accident? Or a conspiracy far bigger than anyone imagined? Perhaps only the victim himself could tell us what really happened.